Today on the Tim Marner podcast show, we've got Gary Rothwell, owner of Transform Hub with our Jed. How many Transform Hubs have you got now?
4.
Preston.
We've got Bamber Bridge. Bury.
Yeah.
Men's Hub at Preston, and then Filed.
Class that, mate, isn't it?
Scary.
Can we start off in military?
Yes, if you want.
Talk to me about that. Talk to me about being in the military and that sort of experience for you. Why did you join in the first place?
I spent 24 years in the army. The reason why I joined in the first place was because I needed to escape from home. From Rochdale, originally.
Rockerdale.
Yeah. It's a bit of a dump, to be nice.
Yeah.
Don't want to put Rochdale down, I'm very sorry. But it's not the most glamorous of places. Wasn't the most educated of children, and didn't really have much of a future.
What was that, escape? Why did you use the word escape?
Family was broken.
Yeah.
Let's just use that word. Single mum in the 80s, bringing up 2 kids, and things didn't look rosy, to be fair. So it was like, right, I probably needed a bit of structure, needed a bit of father figure, needed a way out. Needed something to look forward to, really, because I just didn't want to end up being that guy who was getting arrested by the police, taking drugs.
Is that the way you would have gone, do you reckon, if you had done it?
Yeah, probably. Probably I'd have got myself in trouble, or I'd have just been in maybe a dead-end job somewhere, just blaming myself. I was fat, overweight. I wasn't your typical guy joining the army. When I joined, I joined at 15 years and 10 months. I hadn't even done my exams when I joined the army, or decided to, and got accepted. So I'd not even done my O-levels, my GCSEs at that point. So I'd made that decision I was going to go. I had to bribe my mum that I was going to sign the paperwork, because I had to get her consent. And she didn't want to do it at first, so I just said, look, I'll get my sister to forge your signatures. I'm going. You got to do it. But I was 16 stone at 16 years old.
Were you?
Yeah.
Wow.
I enjoyed physical activity, but I enjoyed a toffee crisp more.
Toffee crisp.
And I was kind of bullied at school as well.
Yeah.
And I was comfy eating. I was bullied by my father figures when I was growing up. My dad had let me down, that kind of thing. So I just found solace in food, which just led to a fat, overweight, unconfident kid. So I needed something. I joined the army. I was at the back for every run. I struggled. I found it hard, but the thought of going back to what I had against what I was facing, the pain of going back was more significant. So I just stuck with it. The amount of phone calls I had to my mum at 2 o'clock in the morning crying, saying, I want to come home, I don't want to be here. But then I'd wake up the next day and I'd just carry on, albeit at the back, struggling. And yeah, when I look back, it's some of the best times I had, but fuck, it was hard at the time. The army made me in total, yeah, but that point, I think, definitely made me, because we used to have what we used to call fatty PT. So if you couldn't pass the tests, it was hard anyway. We're talking early 90s. So a lot of the guys who were taking us were Falklands veterans. They'd seen a bit of action, and
that's a big statement, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then the Gulf War had just happened in 90 as well. So guys had just come back from that who were instructing us as our leaders. And we used to have to run 1.5 miles in 10 minutes in boots, or 10.5 minutes in boots. And then you used to have to do 5 pull-ups, strict pull-ups, straight arm, up, down, and I couldn't do one when I joined the army. So I was on fatty PT for that, because I couldn't pass either test. Luckily for me, my training was 10 months long. So I had to endure that for 10 months. And I used to have to do extra PT in the morning, at lunchtime and at night, on top of what we had in the curriculum as well. So It was hard work, but it made me. And by the end, I could do 5 pull-ups. That's all I could manage. And then I just said to myself at that point, I'm tired of being at the back. I'm tired of being shit. It's time to do something about it. So then that
Can you remember that switch in your head?
Yeah.
Can you actually remember that?
Yeah, it's clear as day. As clear as day. And it's I suppose you remember those moments in your life.
Like a cathartic moment to kind of go.
Yeah, it's now or never. Got to do it now. Got to make it work. Because again, I didn't ever want to go back. And plus, there's probably a pride element in there as well, if I'm being honest. I didn't want to go back as a failure. You know, I tried, or I give it a go. No, it was fucking all in. You know, feet first. Did
they just strip you of all your identity, the army, and then build you back up? Is that their sort of...
Yes, it's akin to brainwashing, or it was back then.
Yeah.
I've gone through the process, and
just like getting rid of your ego, getting rid of all that.
Yeah, it's just knocking you down, breaking
all
you down.
All the mass you've built up.
But they break you down as a group. You know, they used to have us out on the square at all hours in the morning. You can't do a lot of nowadays. You can't do a lot of what they used to, and I'm sure the guys before me used to get it even worse. You know, they always say, "Oh, no, work like that in our day."
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys who took us were just bullies, and you just got on with it. But it was like 2:00 in the morning, stood outside.
They wanted to break you.
Yeah. They wanted to break a lot of people. Like, there were 180 people started when I did, and I think we finished with 62. So they broke in 10 months. They got rid of 2/3 of the intake, as it was called.
Once you made that switch in your head, then what did you do? What did you? Just a different mentality then, like running. You're getting into the middle. You're getting near the front now.
Yeah, it was all aiming to get to the front. I wanted to. The slogan of the army was "Be the best," and I just literally wanted to be the best. I was tired of being the worst, and I wanted to be the best. And it was something in that inside of me that just said, "Right, enough's enough. I've got to be at the front there."
And what do you have to do that?
Just keep going, learn, develop, learn a little bit more. You know, I mean, guys were, I don't want to sound old Goggins like, but when guys were switching off and all going downstairs for a cigarette or going to the naffy for a chocolate bar, it was like, right, get my head in the books, revise, I'll stay up that extra hour, I'll do what it needs to do, I'll do some extra push-ups, I'll do some extra runs.
No one's taught you to do that though, have they, through your life? There's just something within you that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
No one's ever said that to you. You just kind of knew that.
You kind of figured it out, yeah, as I go. It's like, right, what do I need to do? Because I looked at the guys who were better than me and just said, right, what do I need to do to get to where they're at?
Right.
It was never about, I don't think it was never about trying to be better than somebody else. It was just about trying to be the best that I could be. And it was like, well, he's better than me at X, Y, and Z. So it was like, right, what's he doing? What do I need to do? And it was just like copying from your parents or copying from someone who's at a level that you're not at.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my way.
A lot of people do that, don't they? They try and be the best, but like it's different in it when you say, "Oh, I want to be the best," or "I just want to do the best."
Yeah,
it's a different mentality, that, isn't it? Because like trying to be the best, you're always comparing yourself with other people. You're always trying to that, but to do your best every day.
I think I do. I think we all get caught in that comparison trap. Yeah, especially with social media. But let's not go down that rabbit hole. Yeah. But I think you do get caught in the comparison trap. But for me, it was very much just about how I can better myself. And I just knew that if I better myself, I'll either gain on others or be better than others. Don't get me wrong, I'm competitive as fuck. I love competition. I thrive on competition. And sometimes in the absence of competition, I'll create it in my own mind. And especially when you're out on a run or something like that. I love ultra running. I love being in the hills. I love trail running. I love all sorts of individual competition nowadays. and it's like I create little battles in my own mind.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I get through things. Things are going to hurt. It's just how can you get through it?
So where did you get to in the army then in the end?
I reached a rank called Warrant Officer Class 1, which is regimental sergeant major type, as top as you can go as a soldier before they want you to be an officer. So I reached there quite quickly, really. I spent 4 or 5 years there out of my time. So I got there quite quickly and just hung around there at the top because it's nice. It's nice up there, but I found myself getting a bit comfortable. They wanted me to become an officer, but I decided enough was enough. I was going to go.
Why didn't you want to become an officer?
Not that I didn't want to. The kudos of it would have been nice. The security of it would have been nice. Because you could have then just carried on getting a nice healthy wage, pension pot would have just accrued.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go home, spend a bit of time with the wife. And then, I don't know, I just had an itch for something. I joined the army when I was 15.
Yeah.
I'd spent 24 years. 40 just seemed like a nice number to go out and do my own thing. So that's what I thought. I said, no, I'm not doing it. So essentially I slammed the door shut and said, I don't want to go forward. And they said, so you had to do like a course. And if you do the course, then you're eligible to become an officer. And I was like, I don't even want to apply for the course. Because if I apply for the course, I'm leaving that door ajar.
Right.
And if you leave that door ajar for me, such is my history with the army and whatever, I'll probably go through it. At some point, I'll probably get itchy feet and I'll go through that door and then I'll become an officer. And a lot of my friends who did that 5-6 years later ended up getting out anyway, or didn't even last that long, because it's a different mentality, it's a different game, and they just don't take to it.
Yeah.
I think I would have done if I'm being honest, because I'd have just played the game.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't have been fulfilled or happy.
What's that like then, going from, I mean, are you almost institutionalised, going from that to civilian life? What was that like?
You are 100%, when you've spent that long, you are 100% institutionalised.
Yeah.
Yeah,
your routine, habits, everything.
Everything. Yeah, it's even things like most of the time you've never owned a house. A lot of guys don't own their own house until later on in the military career. Because
Right.
even when you're married, living with your partner or whatever, you're in military accommodation. You're in military housing, and you just pay what they ask you to pay. It's like renting.
Right.
So it's all things
Covered.
All things are covered. Yeah.
You don't need to deal with sort of normal life.
No. Now there's little bits that you deal with, but in general, no. You're looked after. And you've got a wage coming in. It's very hard to get sacked in the army unless you're really shit.
Yeah.
And when you reach higher levels, even if you get sacked, they just move you on somewhere else. So you've got security of income and what have you. So
Did you obviously you knew that, didn't you, by shutting that door, that you would have to, but did you know what that was going to be like?
I had no idea.
Did you not?
No.
And nobody prepares you for it.
No, but I was kind of looking forward to it. It was another challenge. It was another competition. It was another chapter of, I suppose I was just ready for something new. I was ready for something different.
What was that? What was that at the time?
Right. Well, I was I'm a serial planner. I try and plan everything when I can, and I've tried to pull myself away from that because it just creates havoc in itself. But I was due to get out in 2016, so 2016 was my end date.
Yeah.
So in 2003, I was in Iraq, and I was involved in a series of explosions and what have you.
And what have you?
And what have you?
Fuck
Yeah,
does that mean, Gary?
RPG, gunfire. Tank I was in got RPG'd and next to the tank, and it left me with hearing impairment in my left ear. So I had an operation to remove my inner left ear in 2005. So they told me at that time I was when I'd have the operation I'd be deaf in my left ear. So I was like, that's better than the dizziness that I'm suffering right now. So I had my driving license taken away from me for 18 months, essentially, because I used to get dizzy spells, vertigo attacks, to the point where I'd just fall over.
Fuck.
I couldn't drive, and I couldn't really work either, because I lost all confidence at this point. It was a case of I'd be.
How long did that go on for?
Nearly 2 years.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. Yeah, nearly 2 years, which was scary because I never knew when they were coming on. I never knew when these episodes were coming around. I remember, because I gave up drinking as well during this time. I didn't need to drink because it was just like the effects of, you know, when you're really, really drunk, you close your eyes and the world starts spinning.
Awful.
It was like that. And I was in a pub and I had one of my vertigo attacks, and my wife at the time phoned a taxi. We came out the pub. She came out the pub first to warn the taxi driver and said, look, when he comes out, he's going to look really drunk. He's not had a drink for a year. He suffers from these attacks. And the taxi driver didn't want to know me because it looked as I was falling over I was all over the show. It looked as though I was paralytic, but like I said, I'd not had a drink for a year. So, long story short, I've ended up having my bone ground away, ear removed, stitched it back up, and then I went through a rehab process. And the army were good to me, but they said, right, you're never going away again. You what they call UK home only, so you can stay in the UK, but you have to do sedentary jobs. You'll only ever work behind a desk. And my mindset was, I'm going to prove you wrong. So in that time, I spent 2 years in Cyprus, 9 months in Jordan, another 6 months in Iraq, probably about 14 months in Afghanistan. I went to the Falklands for a year, and they told me I was UK home only. And I kept progressing through the ranks as well, so kind of expected me to not go any further and just...
Do you love that, you, when someone says you can't do it?
Yeah, love it, yeah.
Love it, don't you?
Yeah. So it's like, right, how am I going to get...
There's almost a petulance to that.
Almost how am I going to prove you wrong? Yeah, it's almost like a childish...
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes it gets me in trouble, sometimes it pays dividends. This time it kind of paid dividends, but yeah, in 2012 I got called in by my commanding officer, so the guy in charge, and he's like, and I'm a sergeant major at this time, so he's like, remember It Ain't Half Hot, Man? Windsor Davis, that was me. So I was like you know, walking around. I was at a training.
So good, that.
I was at a training establishment, so I was leading, I was inspiring, I was in my element. And then I got called in by my boss, basically, said, sit yourself down. And he passed me a letter and said, you no longer meet the medical requirements of the British Army. You know, you got 12 months. Sort your affairs out. You're out in 12 months' time. And I was like, fucking world came crashing down. But you can't do this to me. I'm flying. I'm a young man. I'm sergeant major. I'm doing really, really well. I've done everything you've asked me to do and more. And then I kind of just realised, you know, I'm just a line on a spreadsheet. Because some civil servant, somebody sat behind a computer desk somewhere has just looked at my medical category. We need to make cuts in the army. He'll do. And I'm like, this doesn't reflect what I've done, what I've tried to do, what I'm achieving. So I fought it. So I was like, well, you realise this says UK home only, and I've been all these countries. You best get yourself a good lawyer, because you shouldn't have sent me all these places. And now I've realised that I'm about to leave. I might as well leave with a couple of pennies in my pocket. So
did that sort of coincide with you not taking the officer's exam?
Yeah. So that kind of made a decision.
Made the decision that even to become an officer, they don't really give a shit.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. Yeah. So it was like, you know, they talk about investors in people. They talk about you matter and all those kinds of things. And it's like, well,
Really?
Really. So after that, I decided, right, I'm going to go on. What I wanted to do, I wanted to go and work with professional athletes. So it was like, right, I'm going, go and work with Man United and that kind of thing. So I went and did a sports science degree. So
How long did that take you?
A year. Because in the army, the physical training corps in the army,
Yeah.
they do like a foundation degree, and then they can top it up. So I contacted UCLan at Preston.
You said you'd already done this.
I said I'm experienced. I've got the knowledge. I've got everything bar the qualification for this foundation degree. And they said they wanted money. Basically, they want bums on seats. They want money. And I went, can I get a place? And he went, well, you'll have to send us your CV, what you've done, your experience, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, right, okay. So I just went to my mate who had done the foundation degree and said, hey, Suffs, have you got a copy of your key learning points for the foundation degree? And he said, yeah, here you go. So I took that, I mapped across all of that stuff, bar about one or two things, put it into my own CV, which I'd already done anyway, so I wasn't lying. I just made sure that I crossed the T's and dotted the I's, sent it into them, and they went, oh, you barring a few things, you're pretty much there anyway. So yeah, come along. So I did a degree. I'm sat on the top-up degree with all these physical training gurus from the army who all love themselves, and I'm an engineer. I'm a construction engineer by trade. And they're all like, who are you? What are you doing here? So I was like, right, fuck yous. Studied, worked harder than everybody else, and I walked away with a first-class honours degree in sports science.
Holy shit, mate.
And I was the random token guy.
Wild card.
Bolted onto the end,
Yeah.
And I was the only guy on that cohort who walked away with a first-class honours degree. So, not that it mattered, because from that point I kind of realised that I did a couple of extra courses, kind of realised that a lot of professional sports athletes don't really enjoy doing the physical activity, they just enjoy the sport. Yeah. So I was like, right, how do I turn this into something for the general population? So this is back in 2016, and all these 6-week challenge gyms and everything that are popular now.
None of that.
I did it back in 2016.
Really?
I wasn't the guy who invented.
There wasn't any of it though, was there?
There wasn't a lot, no. But I got a mentor. He was selling the program 50k in 90 days, which sounded great.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm in. So I paid, I don't know, 5-6 grand or something back then.
Yeah.
Went all in with both feet. And I hired a unit. I rented a unit. I got a 25 grand loan. My life savings went into it, everything, and I opened the gym with 6 people. And I'm thinking, fuck, what have I done here?
Where were it?
Rochdale. So
back to Rochdale, eh?
Yeah. But I told my wife that I'd never wanted to move back to Rochdale, but secretly she did. And that time when I got my letter in 2012, we went and then bought a house, because I didn't know what the future was. So we went and bought a house near family, near friends in Rochdale. And so I lived, when I did win my appeal against the army and I stayed in till 2016, we'd already got the house, she'd moved in, she got comfortable, she wanted to stay in the house, which is fine, fair and reasonable. But I then lived unaccompanied in the army and just travelled back at weekends and on holidays and stuff. So we were in Rochdale, and
6 members.
6 members. A year later, I've got 100 members.
Wow!
It's rocking. It's great, and it's there's nothing else like that around nowadays.
Were you fulfilled in doing that role?
I was and I wasn't. I loved it. It's like anything. I jumped in with both feet.
Yeah.
I got totally immersed in it, and it kind of I got too immersed.
Right. Okay.
I got too emotionally attached.
Yeah.
So I had one gym mentor kind of pushed. I had visions of, because I wanted bigger, better. I opened up a second gym in 2019. Bought another gym for
Where
£1.
was that?
Bury. Bought
For
another,
a pound?
pound, yeah. Basically bought another gym for £1 with about 60 members. Turned that into 150 members. So I've got a gym with 180 members in Rochdale, 130 members in Bury.
Wow.
Then I went and bought one in Cheltenham. I know, random, but I was feeling invincible at the time.
Mate.
So I plumped a lot of money into Cheltenham, went to buy one in Northwich, and then COVID hit. And oh, fuck. So took out the bounce back loans.
What were they called, these gyms?
Forever Strong. So Forever Strong Fitness and Performance, and yeah, COVID hit. At the same time as COVID hit, I was having a bit of a breakdown. With marriage was having a bit of a breakdown, and we had a dog. You've seen the photographs of that dog. He was the love of my life, and he was going through a traumatic wasting illness, and then so I was dealing with that, and then he died in May 2020, and I basically just pulled the plug on normality. I escaped up in the hills. I just figured in lockdown it was safer to be in the Lake District running around the hills than it was to be in Tesco's. So I went up there and basically just lived up there for near enough 6 months. Even when I did travel home, I'd get in bed.
Where were you?
Rochdale.
No, were you camping in lakes?
Yeah, just up on the hills. I'd stay overnight, or I'd go home, go to bed, get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, couldn't sleep, just drive up to the hills, spend the rest of the day in the hills, which kind of fractured the marriage even further. So that didn't last. And tried to keep the gyms going for as long as we could, kicking that can down the road. Cheltenham went, Rochdale went, and we ended up keeping Alderbury for a while. But I just kind of ended up just pulling the plug in it all and just kind of give the gym away to the staff members who were looking after it, really. And then just started an online venture. So that was another chapter. So it was like, right, I want to help other people like me, and started coaching people online, really, guys, 40s, 50s, maybe even 60s. Just take back control of the health and fitness, live longer.
Even though within yourself,
it felt like shit, yeah.
Like proper, mate.
Proper shit, yeah. To the point where I just felt as though I wasn't used to failing. For a start, I wasn't used to. I wasn't used to not going in and making things work. And it all that episode, there's nothing I hate feeling useless as well, and there's nothing I could do about Basil the dog. We tried everything. Took him to that super vet, the Irish guy.
Yeah.
Spent a fucking fortune on
it. Did you?
The insurance just got maxed out in no time, and then just kept plowing money into the dog. I refused to give in. Jill was like, "Come on, perhaps we should just call this a day with Basil. Let him rest, stop him suffering." So in the end we did, but even then I didn't want to. It was almost like resigned to the fact. So just struggled to process all that, struggled to process the gym, struggled to process the fact that my marriage wasn't going very well. And one day I just put on a weighted vest, went for a run, found I knew a local waterfall at 30 foot, and I had a meeting with the team, the gym team. That day, ran up some hills, and then went and threw myself off the waterfall, basically, head first. And it's not something I'm particularly proud of, to be fair, but I've got a nice little scar on my forehead.
Weighted vest.
Landed fully clothed, landed on the rocks, head first. And I bounced from the rocks into the water, and I think that's what probably saved That's what brought me to. I'm not going to say that's what saved me, because I could have just fucking laid there. The freezing cold, the water's constantly running freezing cold. I'm in a weighted vest. I've got a double depressed skull fracture. As it turns out, I had a dislocated knee and a bit of a cracked pelvis as well. So I then decided at that point I had more to give. So I pulled myself out of the water. I've thrown myself down 30 feet, so I had to crawl up the bank, get back onto a road, walked about a mile, and then phoned my wife and just said, "Look, don't panic, I've done something stupid, but I need to get to hospital."
Did you tell her that you tried to commit suicide?
No.
You say you just fell or
I
something?
just said I fell, yeah. Which I just didn't feel easy telling anybody.
Yeah.
And it's hard to admit for someone who's used to succeeding, for a supposedly macho guy. I'm not macho by any means, but
yeah, your identity at that time was wrapped up in that.
Yeah. And I couldn't bring myself to tell. I don't like letting people down, and I don't like admitting my own failings. But I'm good with it now. But at the time I couldn't. So I just said I fell. And yeah, I got nursed back to health basically. So I was in hospital for, I don't know, 2 weeks. They wanted to check I was okay, making sure that my brain didn't swell, because basically the bone is like that, and it was like a serrated knife, and then making sure the brain didn't swell into the bone and do permanent damage. I spent 18 hours on a spine board, strapped down. The only thing I could really move was my eyes and my fingers. Gives you a lot of time to think, that does. A lot of time to think. But
you believe in the universe that something was looking out for you that day?
I do now. Again, back then I probably, not into that kind of thing, but I'm very much into the universe now.
Yeah.
There's something out there.
Something?
Yeah. I don't know what. I'm not a big believer in...
Yeah. I don't think you need to dissect it, do you? It's just like, oh...
Yeah.
Fucking hell, mate.
Yeah.
How the fuck did you pull yourself up the thing and then walk after that?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I just kicked in. Whether it's just survival instinct or... I didn't really think about it. It just happened. But then once I got up onto the road, I started processing, right, I'm cold, I'm wet, I need to get somewhere. I feel cold now just talking about it. But yeah. So I spent time on that. And in a blur, it just happened. I got myself to the hospital. I sat in reception. I've got a bandage on my head here. It was swollen up like a balloon. Photographs on my phone. It's absolutely swollen up like a balloon. They wouldn't let my wife in because it was COVID time. And I'm absolutely covered in wet clothes, and there's pool of water and blood around me, and this nurse just walks past and goes, "Why is this man not in triage right now?" So they rushed me into triage. They got ECGs on me. I started going down with hypothermia. They wrapped me up in blankets, putting brews on me. They put an ECG on. I've got quite a low heart rate anyway, but it was dropping down to the point where it's setting the alarms off, and I had to tell them that's normal. So they were getting excited and nervous about that. But yeah, I was in the hospital bed, but then the guy opposite me, or the guy next to me, had his arm chewed off basically by his own dog. He had no muscle on his shoulder or his arm, so I was like, I'm better than you. At least I'm in a more fortunate position than you. And then the guy that came in got rushed in after me. Him and his wife, or him and his girlfriend, were driving down the M65. They hit an aquaplane of water. They went crashing down the embankment, and he broke both his arms, broke his ribs. He was in the passenger seat, and she broke her neck and was drowning in her own blood. and there's nothing he could do to help because both his arms are broken, and he's spot. So I'm like, well, at least I didn't have to go through what you've gone through, mate. And he was having nightmares and all sorts, and you know, I can't even imagine what life's like for him now. So, you know, as bad as situations are, yeah, it's probably someone having it worse than you right now.
Good attitude, that, mate, isn't it?
So as long as you wake up, as long as you're breathing,
yeah,
you've got a chance, haven't you? You got a fighting chance.
But you never thought like that before that moment, though, did you? So that moment was meant to be presented to you. Have you been through the army to have that thing of getting your boots on and walking 10 miles a day, for you to have that chance where you've committed suicide, to kind of go through that next section of the army teaching you that that's what you need to do and go on a run to get to hospital?
Yeah.
It's just like...
Yeah. And I think that, looking back now, I think that can do must make it work attitude, because that's what the army's all about. It's like, right, there's a way, just find the way, just make it happen. Kind of led me to the point where I got out of it, because it would have been so easy just to lay there, and I just thought, no, there's more to this. I've fucked up here. I made the wrong.
How often do you think about it?
Near enough every day.
Do you?
Yeah, near enough every day.
Fucking cathartic moment, that, innit?
Yeah.
I can't even empathise with it, to put myself in that, where I'm lied there, fucking, what's it, shoulder, knees have gone, fucking big gash in your head, to kind of go, no, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, well, I thought I was ready, because my life as I knew it, I was doing really well, flying along, and then I just almost had my identity stripped away from me. Yeah, I was at that point as well. I was like I was an athlete as well. I had all sorts going for me. I'd always been into sport. Once I got myself fit, once I got myself, robust, physically robust, mentally robust, I'd always been into rugby and physical type of sports, competition. But I spent years getting myself concussed playing rugby. I'd wake up in hospital and
shit,
I'd be ringing the missus going, did we win? Because I couldn't remember. And
do you think about that, the concussion bit, like leading to you like hitting your head, and by having the rugby, you've been concussed so many times that's helped you?
I don't think I'd ever made that connection, to be fair.
Okay.
But all the concussions with the rugby and everything.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, if you've had so many concussions and you're sort of used to that injury, that when you've fallen off, when you've thrown yourself off, hit your head, you kind of...
Well, I was used to being in pain. I was used to suffering.
Right.
When I left the army, before I left the army, I took up a thing called kettlebell sport, which is, if you think you do fitness, 2 kettlebells, clean and jerking them, for 10 minutes, non-stop. You can't put them down. So it's like swinging them into your...
That's a sport, is it?
Yeah. And I took that up because I couldn't play rugby anymore, so I needed something.
Right.
And it was a skill, it was something I was not very good at, it was something I could develop and practice and get better at. And I put my time and attention into that. And I did really well. And I entered a competition and I got my arse handed to me, basically. But somebody turned around to me and said, you'd be good at this. English championships are in a couple of months' time. You need 64 reps.
Is that you now?
To qualify.
Yeah.
To qualify for Team England.
It'd probably be better if you said, you can't do this.
Yeah. So I was like, right, there's a goal, there's a mission.
Right.
So let's figure out how to make that work. So that's exactly what I did. Come the competition, I was like, and it was a competition where you stood on the platform. I say a number of other people, guys, and you're competing against these guys, but you can't influence what they do. They're just running their own thing, and it's like the person with the highest number of reps wins. before the time runs out.
What's the weight of the kettlebell?
At the time, it was 224s. So I progressed to 232s, and it's like holding them for 10 minutes.
Oh my sweet God.
But yeah, so long story short, I got the number, just exactly the number of reps I needed. Went to the World Championships to represent England, and again, I got absolutely annihilated by some of these other guys. But I had a coach, and I said to coach, right, how do I win this thing? You know, and it's like,
who the fuck is this guy?
yeah. 2 years later, I'm age group.
Yeah,
I'm fucking world champion.
that's insane, mate.
And then I stood off.
Without those things in your life, is that when you just get lost?
Yeah, I've got to have.
You need them missions,
I've got to have a
them
mission,
goals.
Yeah. Cause
even to this day.
Yeah, and I'm trying to work. I am trying to work to release that, because it's almost like a.
Because if you don't do that, then your head goes in the bin.
It's almost like a disease, yeah. It's almost like a.
But they're extreme, your missions, aren't they?
Yeah.
Should we talk about the Scafell fucking mission?
Well,
how did that come about?
That came about because I was laid in the hospital bed after my skull fracture.
Right.
And I said to myself, I need something. I need to recover, but I need to get back on my feet. I need to get moving. I need something to get my teeth into.
Well, you just strapped to this bed going.
I was just laid on the bed, yeah, I couldn't do much. And I was texting my friend, and my friend went, well, why don't you climb Everest? As a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
And this is May 2021.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, I'd signed up for a charity boxing match, and because of my skull fracture, I was basically told, the charity boxing match was in July, so I was basically told, you got no chance of ever doing that. Nobody will sign you up for that because you've got a skull fracture.
You're all right with that though, weren't you? You could
I could live with that because I could see the common sense in that. Yeah, I could see the logic. I'm a very logical.
Yeah.
I've got a good element of emotion about me, but I'm very logical.
Yeah.
I'm an engineer by trade. You know, I think in numbers and math and stuff. And so a friend texts back and goes, "Why don't you climb Everest?" with a laughy face. And then I went, "Oh, obviously I can't go to Everest because we're in lockdown. You know, I've had a skull fracture. I wouldn't be able to get insurance. There's all sorts of logical, real reasons why I couldn't do that." But then I started thinking, well, I could do something similar in the UK. And we kind of, between me and the guy who mentioned it to me, we kind of hatched a plan that, well, the height of Scafell Pike up and down 10 times is roughly the height of Everest.
Up and down 10 times, is it?
Yeah. Well, the height. Yeah. So up 10 times is the height of Everest. 8,900. It was 890 metres from the car park at Wasdale Head up to the top of Scafell Pike.
Yeah.
And it's a round trip's about 5.5 miles. So I thought, well, I could do that. I reckon I could do that 10 times. So then I started doing some sums. I got out, long story short, I got out of hospital, did a little bit of training. I did a training run up and down Scafell Pike, and I went, do you know what? I reckon I could do this in under 24 hours. So thus started like a training regime, driving up to the lakes, up and down. And all I did, as monotonous and as boring as this sounds, I thought, well, if I'm going to do this 10 times, my training needs to be reflective of what I'm going to do. So I just...
That route from Wasdale Head, though, that's just straight up and straight down, isn't it? There's no, like, little sections where you... It's brutal.
Straight up and straight down, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's brutal on the legs.
Yeah, I've not done that route. I've only done the corridor route, mate.
All
so
right.
obviously that's quite kind of straight into parts of it.
Yeah, it can be.
But yeah, the Wasdale one is just like, whoa.
Yeah, so it's hard on the thighs on the way up and the calves, and then it's hard on the knees on the way down. So there's no rest, really.
What you doing it in? Just one when you go in there. What sort of time are you doing it in?
I'm up in. If I'm doing one, I'll be up in under an hour, up and down in 70 minutes, 80 minutes.
Flying that, mate.
Yeah,
Innit?
not bad. So
So you can do that 10 times in 24 hours.
I kind of figured out that I'd needed 2 hours 24 minutes per run in order to do it, and that includes any rest stops, any stops at the bottom.
Yeah.
I then kind of calculated how many calories I was going to burn. It was about 18,000 calories. So I then created little packs with bags, and then I just filled that bag with 1,800 calories. Eat 10 of those. Each time I went up on the hill, I'd have one of these bags. I'd have me 18,000 calories, plus my mate who suggested it kind of said he'd support me. So he'd be down at the bottom with a walkie-talkie, make me some brews, make me some soup, and I thought, right, let's do this. So
where did the speedo thing come in play?
Right, well, I kind of just made a flippant joke comment one day that I'd do it in speedos if someone would sponsor me like a couple of £100 for charity, and then somebody else said, well, I'll sponsor you, and they quickly grew arms and legs, and then I said, right, if you get the total to, I think it was about 10 grand, I'll do more in speedos. I ended up doing 5 of them in speedos.
Just in speedos?
And a pair of trainers. Yeah. So it was like, and
when was this? When sort of
22nd of August 2021. Right. So it was nice weather, relatively nice, but you don't know on the hills. It rained. No. The night before was a thunderstorm.
Right.
When I set off on that morning, 7 o'clock on Monday morning, I think it was, or Sunday morning, there was people being stretchered off the mountain because they do the national
rescue up there and that.
So mountain rescue were dragging people off the mountain. It was that bad of a night the night before.
Yeah.
So I'm going up in my speedos on 7 o'clock in the morning. There's people being stretchered off, and and it was fun to begin with because I'm fresh, I'm fit, I'm kind of jogging up the hill.
When did it start to kick in?
Once people started leaving the mountain. So when people were on the hill coming up and down,
you got that little bit of,
I got the buzz, I got the people wanting photographs, you got the attention, you get people sponsoring you on the way. Somebody sponsored me like £500 and said, here's £100 for every time you passed me on the mountain. So I was like up, down, up again. And this person had gone up and down once. And I remember coming down, I was about, 20 minutes from the bottom. Some guys were coming up and they were having a laugh and a joke and taking photographs of me. I says, I'll see you back up on the way up, guys. I'm going to go back down to car park. Once I'm there, I'll be back up, and if I catch you, because they're about 20-year-old. I said, if I fucking catch you, I'm 40 odd years old. If I catch you, you're going to have to pay a penalty. And they were like, yeah, whatever. 2/3 of the way up, I passed them. And they were like, they just couldn't believe it. So I was like, which is not, again, it was, but again, I was playing little games within the bigger game. So
like what kind of thing?
I'm going to catch them fuckers.
Right.
So it was like when I was back down, it was like, I'm gonna make them boys eat their words.
What was the big mission? Where was the 10 grand going to?
Movember.
Right. Okay.
So it was like men's mental health.
Yeah.
So it was something at the time I felt inspired to be a part of, and something I wanted to take part in and just help, because I realised that this was my way of paying back. So when it really started to kick in was I was going up number 7, I think it was. So I was flying. It was like 9 o'clock at night, just about going dark.
Number 7, that's when it started kicking in.
Yeah, my legs were a bit sore. Started to get a little niggle of cramp, and there was nobody else on the mountain. And I thought, I get to the top now. I've got 3 more to go. And then in my mind, I started to calculate the math, and they were like, that's another 7.5 fucking hours. And I felt like crying at that point. I thought, why am I doing this? Why am I doing it? And then I remembered the money and the donations and everything. And then when I got to the top of number 7, I saw a light at the top of Scafell Pike, and it's getting dark. I'm like, who the hell is up here at this time of night? And you've been up there. There's
Yeah.
the big cairn is a war memorial.
Yeah.
So around the back of that, there's this torch, and I went round just seeing what was going on, just in case. And there's these 4 Chinese, Japanese people. Looked as though they were on a Sunday stroll in trainers.
Oh no.
A torch on the phone, completely ill prepared for the hill. And I'm like, oh my God. And they see me, they see a bit of
Seen a few people.
bit of saviour.
Scary, man.
And I'm like, I was like, do you need help? Where are you going? You know, what, do you need help? And they were like, way down. And I was like, oh, they don't even speak English properly. And I was like, oh, I said, which way? There's about 5 different routes. Could have been corridor or whatever. Yeah. I kind of figured it was Wasdale because they were so ill prepared.
Yeah.
And they went, big pond. That's all they said, big pond. And I went, oh, it's Wastwater. I went, yeah, follow me. I'm going that way anyway. So I kind of navigated them down to the track, the main track. And once I got them onto the main route, it was like, just follow this down, guys. And
you could have saved them a fucking rough night, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Hadn't you?
Yeah, big time.
We know how bad it gets up there.
It can do, yeah. It was cold as well up there. And it was raining by this point. Not bad, but it was raining. And then I just thought, remember the mission, I can't stop now.
Remember the mission.
I'm against the clock. So I made sure they were safe, I made sure they were okay, and I figured that by the time I got back down and coming back up, if they needed my assistance again, I'd meet them again. All they had to do was stay on that track. I just had to trust that they were going to stay on that track, and they did. They were coming back down. They got to a certain safe spot. I helped them back over. There's a river. I got them over the river, down the hill, and I pointed them back down, realigned where they were going, and I went back up the hill again. And long story short, I got to the top, 23 hours, 24 minutes, and just as the sun was coming, it was just perfect. It was just beautiful. And Strava'd it, so the proof is there on Strava. If it ain't on Strava, it didn't happen.
Yeah, if it ain't on Strava, it didn't happen. Yeah.
Next thing was like, what's next? What
was next?
Where was that?
At any point after that?
Hyrox was next.
But any point after that, were you thinking of seeing a therapist or getting some sort of like mentor that could help you with your mental fitness?
No.
What was your thought process on that? Not seeing anyone.
I've just carry on. What's next? What's the next mission? What's the next thing?
Yeah. Do you think you ever will do? Do you think you will ever?
Yes, I did go for some therapy.
Did you?
I did go for some therapy, yeah.
Because, mate, I mean, we're talking about you getting like blown up in your ear, trauma, all them little things like kind of going towards.
Well, things I've come to realise now is, and I didn't really pay much attention to it at the time. I remember my wife at the time, we're no longer together, but I'd come back from Iraq, and she told me that I was crawling around the floor in the bedroom. Literally crawling around.
Yeah.
And she's like, what are you doing? I went, shh, there's a tank over there.
Right.
Let's go and kill it. And I couldn't remember a thing. And then another time, I'm waking her up I've got my hands on her shoulders, I'm sticking my knee in her back, saying, it's all right, I've got you. You've been shot, you'll be fine. I'm just stemming the blood. So that, there's elements of PTSD there.
Yeah.
And I don't want to label it.
Yeah.
But there's elements of PTSD there. Because I've had the therapy and it's like, it's complex because there's childhood trauma.
Yeah.
There's that. There's obviously the marriage, dog.
Yeah, dog's a big one.
Huge
for me, mate. For me as well. Like.
I'd waited 13 years to have a dog. I'd always wanted a dog.
Yeah.
But we didn't get a dog because Jill quite rightly said, well, I don't want to look after the dog. She wasn't a dog person. She said, I don't want to look after the dog and pick up the dog shit and take him for walks or her for a walk whilst you're away in Afghanistan or in Iraq or on exercise or whatever. You can't just get something and then burden it with me, which is fair.
Yeah.
So I said, right, okay, well, when I leave the army, let's get a dog. And it still took about a year or two. So when I got the dog, I don't have children. I'm 48 now. There's probably no likelihood of me having children. That was my boy. And then to watch him go the way he went, and I used to take him on the hills. I just had this vision of running up in the lakes, trail running with my dog, camping.
The best, man.
You know, took him camping.
Yeah, the best.
Fucking
It's nothing like it.
Yeah, taking him to a pub. I'm having a pub meal, and he's having his little doggy meal next to me.
I'm right there with you, brother. Honestly, right there with you.
That was heaven.
The best.
And then to have that taken away from me as well, it was just like. So it's all. So yeah, I did end up having therapy. I didn't like it because we were on Zoom.
Yeah. And
I didn't really connect with the person that I was having therapy with. I've met somebody not like long ago that's helping me, really, really helping me with my mindset, my mental space. And
just talking, mate, innit? You know what I mean? You're really open about your vulnerabilities and stuff.
Yeah, I kind of at that.
You're not
point,
keeping it to yourself, are you?
At that point, when I fell, I didn't tell anybody, and I was in a friend's kitchen, and he looked at me and just said, "Right, Gaz," and a good friend, close friend. I'd known him through my gym actually. I got to know him through my gym, but he became a very close friend, and he still is to this day. And he looked at me and he just went, "Right, look me in the eye and tell me that you slipped."
How did he know?
He just knows me. He's got this. He just sees right through me.
Yeah.
And he said, "You never fall." He says, "You running up." He says, "I've seen your videos when you're in the hills. You're scrambling up. He said, you're like a mountain goat. You're just scrambling around. You don't fall. You never fall. Tell me you didn't fall." And I couldn't tell him. So I burst out crying, and then started the journey to try and fix myself, because my marriage had broken down by that point, and I was undergoing I started undergoing therapy, personal development. Owning your own business is the best personal development program around, isn't it?
Call that your bullshit, wasn't it?
You're responsible for everything.
Yeah.
Whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
So then I started going into that therapy. Me and Jill started talking. Me and my wife started talking about, what was important to us, where we saw ourselves going and everything, and we just realised that we weren't aligned. We didn't dislike each other. We were just making each other miserable because we weren't aligned.
Wow, what a powerful conversation.
Values weren't aligned.
Yeah.
What we wanted from
Vision.
life, vision.
Yeah.
We were talking before about vision. It just weren't aligned.
Yeah.
I'm quite a risk taker. She wasn't. She wanted home. I wanted freedom and travel.
Yeah.
And it's like we actually want separate things, and we're just making each other fucking unhappy. So let's just call it a day. So we did. So yeah, I then jumped into other things and started pursuing. I needed that thing to take my mind off it, so I found this sporting event called Hyrox, which is taken off. Did my first event in Birmingham in 2021, off the back of my hills, Scafell.
It's basically a running event, really.
Yeah, so I was.
You think
I was
about
fit,
it, so you're perfect for that.
but I wasn't necessarily strong.
Yeah.
So I did it not knowing what to expect. I won my age category, qualified for the World Championships. We were in Vegas, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go.
Here we go again.
I'm going to go.
Here we go again, Gas.
And I just thought, do you know what? Vegas doesn't excite me. I don't drink, don't smoke, don't gamble.
Yeah.
Not with money anyway. And just Vegas is not on my radar. I'd never wanted to go to Vegas, but opportunity was there. I thought, I'm never going to go. Otherwise, I'll watch the Hangover movie or something like that, and I'll have a good laugh at it. But that's never going to be me.
Yeah.
And I said to my family group, does anyone want to go to Vegas? And my mum, 70 odd years old, doesn't even have a passport, says, yeah, I'll go. So I'm like, what? So I ended up getting my mum a passport, and whilst she loves Elvis, absolutely adores Elvis, and Elvis used to play at in Vegas, that's what he's known for, really, a lot of it. So we booked a hotel where he did all his stage shows. So what used to be called the Intercontinental, so like Westgate or something like that. So I booked that hotel, and then she didn't know, but I booked. So from Vegas, once we'd done the Hyrox at the World Championships, took her over to Memphis. So I flew over to Memphis, and then we went to Graceland, because that's the one thing on a bucket list.
Was it?
It's like, right, let's go and see Elvis's grave at Graceland. So that was the whole thing about the holiday for me. It was like, Mum, you worked hard to bring me up. You know, this is payback kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you know, the Hyrox was kind of like, it was a goal, but it was kind of the main goal there was to serve my mum.
Yeah.
And then we got to the World Championships at Hyrox. Sleep deprivation, couldn't acclimatise to America, living off coffee, up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Got there about 3 or 4 days before, so the competition, I was knackered, I was fucked, I was tired, I was fatigued, worn out, which is exactly where I like to be, because it's like army days, you know, 4 days without sleep or whatever.
Yeah. Let's
perform. And this guy shot off on the start line. I just thought, fair play to you, mate. If you can keep that going for this, I ain't gonna beat you. Because it was like, I love competing, but I also know when I'm beat. I know when I'm not good enough on the day, but I'll still give him my best. And I thought, if I can just hang in, you never know what will happen. And I kept catching him up. He kept pulling away on the runs, way better runner than me. But I just kept going and going and going. The mindset was, don't fucking quit. And that's kind of my mind, is just don't quit. You never know what's going to happen, just don't quit. Towards the end, he pulls up with a bit of cramp, and we get to the walking lunges, which is like near the end. It's hard, your legs are tired and everything. I just thought, right, this is it. I'm going to mentally break you now. So I just put everything into that. And you know, like, you go up 50 metres, back 50 metres. And when he'd done 25, he looked across and I was at 75. So I'd gone up, back, and I was like way ahead. And I just looked at him and said, got you. and that were it then. And I was then throwing these wall balls up onto a station, and this German guy came up behind me and went, are you Gary? And I went, yeah. He says, you've got 30 wall balls to become a world champion, make it happen. And the thing was as light as a feather then. At that point I was dead. But then as soon as he said that, it was light as a feather, ran over the finish line, and Hyrox world champion. Age group, of course. Not the world champion, but for a 40-odd-year-old man, it felt great.
Fucking hell, mate.
Felt great. So, so within the space of a year, I've thrown myself off a waterfall, cracked my skull.
Scafell.
Ran up Scafell, marriage broke down, decided to separate, took my mum to Memphis and become a Hyrox world champion. And then I creamed in. Then it all kind of came crashing down, and that's when I kind of just burnt out.
What does that burnout look like?
Physically, mentally, emotionally, just really suffered. Took myself off to Peru, so kind of
plant medicine.
No, I did that, but I did that in the UK.
Did you?
But the Inca Trail, took myself on the Inca Trail.
Was it amazing?
Yeah.
How long were you there for?
All in total about 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, but it's about 5 days on the trail.
5 days on the trail, and then what you doing? Are you walking, stopping?
Yeah, you overnight, you camping.
Right.
But yeah, the guy who I was bunked up with is a big 26. Why he was ever up there, I'll never know. 26 stone guy, way overweight, not conditioned at all. And on the last day, the last night, we ended up having to stretch him off the side of the mountain. All these little porters, they're like 4 foot nothing, weighing 5 stone, and I had to get involved. Just, he was he'd become a bit of a buddy, a tool, and I was like, well, I can't leave you on the mountain, mate. So we were all down at the bottom, and I went back up the mountain with him and helped stretch him off the 26 stone bloke off the mountain. It's like Indiana Jones, jungle, little tracks, sheer drop. It was fucking pretty scary.
Peter loved that.
Oh, I did, yeah. Secretly, I loved it, yeah.
So what happened after that then? Inca Trail, would you recommend doing that?
Yeah, 100%.
Is it amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
I've got such a thing at the minute, mate, that I can't leave the dog. There's a few things I want to do, like Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
All
I've
these.
got that booked in next
Have
week.
you? Wow. But I can't leave the dog.
Yeah.
You know,
I know.
You're the only person that will probably understand what I'm talking
I know exactly.
about.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Me and him in the hills, I don't care if him Kilimanjaro or what's it. It's just like that thing of doing that walk and then that pub after, and you just lie there in front of an open fire and you get him just like, I don't give a fuck about money. It's that.
Yeah.
Innit?
And that's kind of what I've come to recently. It's like I don't actually care about money.
Yeah.
I've invested more money than I care to admit. I've lost more money than I care to admit, and it's like, do you know what? I'll make some back. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Don't get me wrong. You need money.
Yeah. Well, I said this to someone the other day, mate. I've got a Hilleberg 10 and I've also got a Lanchan 2 Pro. For people listening, one's 1,500 quid, one's 110 quid. My experience inside them fucking tents is exactly the same. I don't give a fuck how much they cost.
Yeah.
And I kind of live my life by that. I'm just like, it's the experience, not what you've got or how much it costs or what car you drive and all that nonsense.
Yeah, I don't have a fancy car.
Yeah.
I've got I drove a 2006 Volkswagen Jetta until it blew up on me. Because I just fucking love the car. Great engine, reliable.
Yeah.
And I broke that in the hills doing my Wainwrights. Well, that's another goal as well.
Doing all the Wainwrights?
Yeah. So
how many Wainwrights are there?
214.
214, what are you on?
214.
You've done them all?
6 months.
Fucking crazy
Yeah.
fucker. Where did he scatter his ashes? Was it in him at Tarn?
The what?
Was it in him at Tarn? They scattered his ashes, Wainwright's ashes?
Yeah, up at, I think it was up Buttermere, yeah. Haystacks.
Yeah, Haystacks, yeah.
Yeah, top of Haystacks, yeah.
How many is around there? There's about 7 around there.
There's about 7 there, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you went up there
Yeah.
recently, didn't you? Fleetwith Pike and all those, yeah.
I've done a few of them. Like, I'm not really a Wainwright bagger, but knowing you, that's what you'd like to do.
Well, yeah.
Make sure you bag them all.
I said I was going to bag all the Wainwrights with Basil in 2019.
Yeah.
So 6 months in, I actually started making YouTube videos about it. I've just never done anything with them.
Oh, amazing.
The editing won't be great. The audio won't be great. But I started bagging the Wainwrights with Baz. We got we got halfway in 6 months in 2019, and then I got a meniscus tear in my knee, so we had to stop. And I said we'd revisit again in 2020, but November 2019, that's when Basil started getting ill. So I couldn't revisit that journey. So when he died in May, when we had him put down in May, 1st of July 2022, I decided, right, I'm going to do all, in memory of my little boy, I'm going to do all 214. I'm going to start again from scratch. I've done 107 of them. I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to give myself 6 months. So that was me then. Give myself 6 months. So it was up and down. I've kind of figured that I've got to go up twice a week every week now for 26 weeks. Planned it all out, worked it all out.
It's insane how your brain works like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't ease up on yourself though. That's what I mean. You don't ease up on yourself, do you? Like,
no.
Once you've got that lot, like, you need to do it. And like, if you don't do it, you're gonna fucking like traumatize yourself.
They used to call me when I was in the army. They used to call James calls me the Terminator. And once you're on, you're gone.
Once you're locked in.
Yeah, and they used to call me Rottweiler. So it's like Rothers the Rottweiler, because once he's got his grip on you, you're not letting go.
Yeah.
But I'm working now to release that.
Yeah.
Because it's unhealthy.
What's your thoughts on other people around you, staff that are working for you, stuff like that, who have not got that mentality that you've got? Do you ease up on them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm easier on them. I'm probably too easy on staff. I'm very laissez-faire. I'm very much about collaborative. I'm very much about, let's work together.
Yeah.
I've learned from in the past. There's various leaderships about having a toolbox.
Yeah.
Having a bag full of tools and just knowing what tool to bring out at the right time. People tell me I'm a good leader. I don't know. I just, I believe.
Sergeant Major's a big thing, mate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huh? You don't get much better leaders than that.
Yeah. Well, I've kind of proven it over time. So enough people have told me that I suppose I've got to believe it. And I'm not really good at taking praise either. So something against something else I want to work on, because. But people say I'm inspiring. People say I'm a good leader. So there must be something in it. And I've kind of learned, a lot of the stuff I've learned is like by looking at not just good leaders and absorbing what they do, but looking at what I've classed as bad leaders and what they do wrong. It's like, right, I'm not going to be like that. So a lot of what I do as well is like I'll explain the why behind what we're doing.
Yeah.
If I'm going to ask somebody to do something, number one, I've got to be prepared to at least have a go myself. I don't need to be able to do it, but I've got to be prepared to give it a go, whether I like it or not. Because then, how else can you ask somebody else to do something you're not prepared to do? That's my mindset.
Yeah.
And then we've got to be able to communicate about it. And if I can't justify the reason why I'm asking you to do it, then why do it? If I can't justify it to you and make it make sense to both of us, then why do it in the first place? Because there's probably there's either a better way or there's no reason for doing it. Full stop. So that's kind of my take on very simple take on leadership. It's like, let's create that vision. Let's get people to buy into it. Let's get people to understand why they're doing what they're doing.
What is that vision for you and Transform Hub? What you're actually building with Jed? Why did you choose Jed, if you don't mind me asking? I mean, it's obvious to me because I've had a conversation with the guy. I've had so many people fucking message me and ring me what an amazing bloke he is, and he is amazing. I just wonder from your point of what did you say?
I just saw his passion, his energy, his commitment, his drive, his determination, his love for it.
Yeah.
See, my involvement in Transform Hub really came about because I had my gym, Forever Strong, surviving on its bootstraps.
Yeah.
And James put a post on Facebook saying, "Do you want anyone in the Manchester area want to sell a gym?" So I liked his post, knowing full well how social media works, that he'd message me. So I liked his post, he messaged me.
Yeah.
And my intention was to sell a gym. I was doing all right with my online stuff. And that's how I saw things go. So it was like, right, I can sell James my Transform Hub. The staff that are working for me will get looked after. They'll have a mentor, they'll have guides, they'll have support. Win-win. James, being the convincing kind of guy that he is, talks me into not selling it, but turning it into a Transform Hub.
Rebranded it.
And rebranded it. So took out the franchise license. But again, it was like, right, this is Karen's, this is Shan's. It's theirs to run and manage, which they've done successfully. And then I kind of then got itchy feet, jumped back in. I got involved with Filed near Blackpool. Jed had the men's, I had the women's.
Yeah.
Jed was also getting involved with he's from Preston area, so he was getting involved with one in Preston. And I thought, do you know what? I'll jump in. See, I'm a big believer in doing things together rather than alone.
Yeah.
It's easier as a team, and I just didn't want to work on my own anymore. I still do my online stuff now as well. I've got a business partner that does that as well. When we play to our strengths, he sells, he markets, he sells. I coach, I lead. We make that work as well. So, and with Jed, he's got a real passion for the Transform Hub. I'm more business orientated with it. Jed joined the hub as a member.
Yeah.
And then obviously got the results and bought into the whole. He lives and breathes it. So I thought,
it's heart and soul, isn't it?
Yeah. So I thought I've got if I'm going to jump, if I'm going to make it with
that's
anybody,
the guy.
that's the guy. You know, he's the one that's going to dig in deep.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what resonates with me. It's like, if the bullets are flying, who do I want to be in the trench with?
Yeah.
Somebody who's bought into it, somebody who, that vision, that mission.
What does success look like to you now, Gaz? When you sort of been everything through that you've been through, what does that look like?
Great question.
Yeah.
And I've run this through my own mind many, many times. And at one time I thought it was money. I thought it was status, kudos. Ego took me down that route.
Yeah.
I've realised it's not that.
Yeah. It's
not that at all. I don't care about the car. I don't care about the house. I think some of it is fulfilment, peace. I know people talk about happiness, but you can be happy. I can go up on the hills and be happy.
Yeah.
I can do that tomorrow. I can do that today. But it's like, I think just fulfilment with where I'm going, what I'm achieving, helping other people. I do genuinely have a passion for helping other people. There's something selfish inside about that. I'm a big believer that
you get a dopamine hit from.
I'm a big believer that we all need to fulfill inside ourselves.
Yeah.
And by helping others, I get that fulfillment by seeing other people succeed. That's just one of my values, I think, really. It's just, I like seeing other people succeed, and I get a kick out of that.
Yeah.
I like mentoring, I like helping others. I think through some of the therapy that I've had, I've got kind of like that parent complex, where I didn't really have that parenting as a child, so I like, and I haven't got any kids to be that parent too.
Yeah.
So I like to, I think
be a father figure for somebody.
I think I've come to that conclusion through therapy.
It's nice that, mate, though, isn't it?
It is, as long as you maintain
the boundaries.
The boundaries, yeah. Which is, again, something I've tripped up with in the past, something I've struggled with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've met a few people that have helped with that, and I've met someone recently, a female, who's that way inclined, very, you know, that kind of mindset, spiritual, who's really, really helping me with that. And
that's good, that, mate.
I just need to go on that journey now and figure that shit out, because I can't keep going back round.
I think for me is like, obviously talking to is like, you can't keep doing, and you're doing a lot of doing you, but you're not doing a lot of being. Yeah. And being all right with.
I've caught myself in a loop.
Yeah.
I've become first stage of anything. I always teach to, and I need to swallow a dose of my own medicine here. Is first thing I say to guys is, you've got to become aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
And then when you're aware of it, you've got to accept it for what it is.
Yeah.
There's no point in cussing, there's no point in wishing it was any other fucking way.
Yeah.
It's like, right, what are you doing? And just become at peace with where you're at.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, nothing's going to change. It's like, we were always taught in the army, training for drills, it's like IED. Boom, contact IED. Fucking someone's just stepped on a mine. It's like, you can't wish you were anywhere else, because it ain't going to happen. You are where you are.
Yeah.
Deal with it. What are the COAs? What's the course of action? Course of action 1, course of action 2. You've got multiple options available to you. Which one are you going to take? Right or wrong? Make a decision. So that's kind of where I'm at now, is like, right, what's next?
Yeah.
What's next? And that's always a question I'm asking myself, is what's next?
Yeah.
But I need to...
My big thing, mate, has been kind of opening my heart a little bit and trusting people. That was sort of my journey. My sort of journey and relationship with the mountain has changed. That I went to go and do Helvellyn and Striding Edge and do the circle, and at one point I just stopped and I stopped filming, and I went, no, what are you doing again? You're doing it again. You're doing a route. You want to get around that route, and what's it? And I just fucking lied with it, dog. And I'm just like, this is what it is. Just be at peace with this.
Well, that...
to connect with yourself. Yeah. Not fucking going to do something.
Yeah. Just go up and just walk.
Yeah.
Because when I did my Wainwrights, it was right, today I'm going to do this, boom, and I was up and down.
Yeah.
And people said, did you enjoy the view? I was like, what view? It was It's not hanging around.
I know,
I'm
mate.
running.
I know.
And don't get me wrong, I love running. I love
Yeah.
trail running. I love running in the hills. I get lost, but it's like, at what point did I stop?
Yeah.
And start to appreciate what was going on around me, and that is the story of my life. And it's like, I've got to, when you say you got to trust people,
Yeah.
I'm beginning to learn as well now that you just got to trust the universe.
Yeah.
You've got a part to play in it. Just trust what is, and the right thing will present itself when it comes about. As I've met a lady friend, and she fucking lives in Swansea, and it's like it's miles away, and it's like common sense tells me it's like 6 hour, 5 hour drive, 6 hour drive with stops. It's like nothing in life's ever easy, is it?
Yeah.
She couldn't come from Bolton or Bury or at least Stockport or something like that, But no, fucking Swansea, I'm like, God. But you just got to trust what is, and if it's meant to work, it's meant to work, and it's all sorts of things. It's like my business partner online, he lives in Mexico now. All sorts have gone wrong with that. We lost. I reckon we lost 100 grand. Just pissed it away doing stupid stuff, trying to build, trying to grow, getting it wrong. Investing in the wrong things, the wrong people, the wrong strategy. And it's like, fuck, 100 grand, but it's like, what is?
What is?
We
Trust the process.
Yeah, trust. He wasn't in the right headspace, and I wasn't in the right headspace, and then, he started to, we'll figure it out. Just keep believing, keep trusting the process. That's what I say to guys. It's like when they come to us wanting to look better, 40, 50-year-old, no energy, put all their efforts into business. I'm like, right, this is a process. We've made it work with so many other people. Trust the process. I say to them, I've got 4 rules that I want you to follow. Is show up. Because if you don't show up, nothing else works. And then you got to do the work daily. All right, you can have days off and stuff like that, but you got to show up, do the work. Trust the process is number 3, and then don't quit. You can't quit on yourself, because that's what you're doing it for. You're doing it for yourself, so don't quit.
Yeah.
What's the alternative? Because in a year's time, you're going to look back and wish you'd fucking not quit. And if you can follow those 4 simple steps, those 4 simple rules, it's like everything else will fall into place. And then all you need is a bit of a plan and a bit of structure and a bit of accountability, and away you go. And I just find that works for me, and it works for so many other people. There's always a way.
Always a way.
Just figure out the way.
Trust the process and don't quit.
Yeah.
Love that. Should we finish on that? Trust the process and don't quit.
By all means.
Guys, I appreciate you, mate.
Always, thank you, man.
We need to go for a wild camp, don't we?
Love it, yeah.
Let's do, honestly, mate. Buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing you've come on. Really appreciate you being open, mate. Really do. I think a lot of people will get a lot of value from this, brother. So appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, everybody. Good.